What's up everyone, I'm Edward. Today we will talk about the best trendline strategy. So now, if you know me already, you know that I don't use trendlines, and many times on my stories, my Instagram stories, I say that I don't use trendlines. But at the same time, on my pictures of my charts, on my screenshots, you see some trendlines. So you get confused, you don't really know what's going on, you don't know if I'm lying or something. Now it is time to tell the truth. It is time to talk about trend lines and how they work. Now, the reason why you may see that I use some trend lines sometimes is not because I actually look at the market based on trend lines, but it can be helpful as a confirmation. And this is what we will talk about today. And I will show you the difference between, trading based on trend lines and using them just as a confluence. Because many people think that the market moves based on trend lines. And let me tell you, this is not the case. Another thing that I wanted to say is that I don't have any problem, with the people on Instagram or whatever that are using trend lines. If it works for them, then great. If it works, probably means that they built a system around them that is, giving a lot of confirmations and that is actually providing them, good setups. This doesn't mean, again, that the market moves based on trend lines. Now, let's get started. Let's see what I mean. All right. Okay, perfect. Let's get started. GPUSD 4 hours time frame. A lot of people will start analyzing. They see this trend line right here, breakout of the trend line to the downside, and now this will be their opinion, break and retest, entering sells here. Now, maybe, and I'm saying again, maybe, we will actually go down from here. But at the same time, this is not, just because we broke the trend line doesn't mean that we are actually bearish, okay? This is the whole concept that I'm trying to teach to all my students. When we get started, this is one of the first concepts that is being covered just to, eradicate the overall mindset of, how the majority of the traders are thinking. Also because you got to think that, just think about it. If 90% of the traders are losing money and 90% of the traders are using these concepts, then it means that we need to use something different. Okay, so we have this trend line. It's broken through the downside. We have the break and retest. A lot of people are entering sells. Now, if you look at this from another point of view, this is just, we had the trend line liquidity right here below the trend line. And also we had a big accumulation right here. Let me put, okay. We had a big accumulation, and below all these lows, there was a lot of liquidity. Again, if you don't know what liquidity is, go and check my video about liquidity. There is also a video here about supply and demand, so go and check it out. If you want to learn more, if you want to learn how I trade, there's my course and there is the link here below. Now, as I was saying, there is liquidity below all these lows. These lows need to be manipulated. And here we have the manipulation to the downside and also the manipulation of the trend line. Now, this was a very good opportunity for buys at this demand area right here, which was fresh. At the same time, once these buys are completed, we need to remove this trend line, not trade based on just the trend line, just because it was broken. And I will tell you in a minute how we can actually use trend lines in a good way that can be helpful. Now, just to understand what's going on right now, we have the 4 hours rejecting demand. We have also the 4 hours supply right here. And overall, we don't know yet if we're bullish or bearish. Yes, we gotta say that these lows were violated to the downside. Might be just because of manipulation, or might be actually a break of structure. Therefore, if this is a real break of structure, yes, we might be bearish. We will wait for the supply area to be reached to continue to the downside. And again, this doesn't correspond to the trend line break and retest. It is totally a different area. Okay, it's up here. A lot of people, by the time we are here, a lot of people will think that this is a fake out, and therefore, break and retest traders will get stopped out because we get to here. all of the people will start thinking that this is a fake out, they enter buys, and then we might go to the downside. So this is where the majority are getting trapped. With that being said, let me show you some examples on where it can be helpful. I don't know if in the past we can see some examples. All right, just here we can see some good examples actually. So first of all, we could see that we were clearly bearish right here, right? Lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. If we want, we can put the trend line, okay? And with the trend line, we have a better understanding. Well, not actually a better understanding. We can see just the confluence with the trend line. So we have the trend line, which is a downtrend, and lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. Therefore, we understand that we are in a downtrend. Now we are in a downtrend, but here, all of the people will start trading, break and retest. Also, if you zoom in, you can see that on the retest, we had, a doji candle, a bullish rejection. All the people are entering buys and buys and buys, and then big candle to the downside. And this is because we built liquidity by creating this move. Basically, the smart money is building liquidity. They're making you think that this is a break and retest, and then continue to the downside. The reason why this didn't work is because this was just, a manipulation of the trend line, and it didn't break any of the previous important highs. It broke this high, but in this case, we will need to talk about the fractal nature of the market. You might get confused. It needs to, I will need more time to actually explain it much better. But basically, what I mean is that we need to look at the major trend. Major trend is lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and here it is another lower high compared to this previous high. So unless we break above this previous high right here, then we're still bearish, okay? Now, we create an equal low right here, equal to the previous one, and keep in mind that when there are equal lows, there is always liquidity below it. And other than that, also equal low doesn't mean that we're turning bullish. If it is equal, nothing is changing. We go to the upside, and with this move, we are breaking the previous high, which is this one now. This was the previous high, and also the other high. Now, even if we didn't break above this one and only above this one, it is still a good confirmation for me that we're turning bullish. Here, we didn't have any confirmation that we were turning bullish. And this is where a lot of traders, are losing money just because they see, the trend line being broken, they think that we're bullish. And this is not really how the market moves, okay? Market moves based on, I don't know, I don't remember in English because I'm Italian, sorry. Market moves based on order flow and main direction. Sorry if I didn't remember. Anyway, went to the upside, broke the previous highs. Here, the order flow is changing. The orders of the banks or whatever. I hate to say it. I really hate to say this because, a lot of people are starting to think that they're trading like the banks or that they are institutional traders. We are using smart money concepts. We are using some smart money concepts, but you are not trading like the banks. Nobody is trading like the banks other than the banks. Nobody is an institutional trader unless you are an institutional trader trading for a bank, okay? You are trying to understand what the bank, what the institutional trader, or what the institutions are doing, and then you try to follow them, which is a huge difference, okay? Now, and this is why also you're not involved in this move to the upside, because you cannot predict that the banks or the financial institutions are going to change the flow of the market or whatever. You cannot predict it. Once it happens, once you see that the previous highs are being broken and the structure of the market is changing, not the trend line, the structure of the market is changing, therefore you understand that we're bullish and you can proceed to find your demand area to follow this direction and so on, okay? So this is the main difference, between trading trend lines and market structure with some smart money concepts. Now, why am I using trend lines then on some of my charts? Because sometimes I want to, point out the direction of the market. So let's say, for example, last week we were right here on GBP USD, and I want to point out the direction of the market, and therefore I will put the trend line right here. Okay, and I can see that I have higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and I have the trend line. So I keep in mind that we are both above the trend line and we're still bullish, and most importantly, the market structure is still bullish. So with these two things, I keep in mind that we're basically bullish, which is the first thing that I look at when trading, because I try to always go with the direction of the market. Okay. Now, when are we looking for sells? Because on all of these moves, we were looking for buys. When are we looking for sells? We're looking for sells. Well, sometimes if we go against the trend, but it is almost never, like very rarely in few cases. But other than that, if we are going with the trend, we will need to see a break to the downside of the structure and of the trend line. So you see a breakout of the trend line, but it is not enough. Most importantly, you see a break of the structure. These, let me delete actually these two lines right here. All right. This is the previous low. You want to see a new lower low compared to the previous low. After that lower low, we will expect a new lower high. Not right here. We're not trading break and retest of support and resistance. We're not going to trade this support acting as a resistance. We are not. Okay. If you want to, you can do. We are not trading that support as a resistance. We will find our key zones right here, our supply area, which needs to have a lot of more confirmations. And with that, we will expect a new lower high to continue to the downside and eventually create a new lower low, and so on and so on. Now, at all of these areas, this is the first step. I just wanted to say this is the first step, understanding the direction, understanding the trend lines, why you should use trend lines in some cases, and when you shouldn't pay attention to trend lines and you should pay attention to market structure. Now, other things that we should mention is that are, for example, that now just because you know this stuff doesn't mean that you can trade just using market structure. You are starting from market structure with trend lines to understand where we're going. After you understand where we're going, you need to find some entry points. Those entry points, even if they are supply and demand and you're not using support and resistance and whatever, even if they are supply and demand, just because there is a supply, just because there is a demand is not enough to trade. Those supply and demand areas have some criteria to be selected. Then at those supply and demand areas, for which confirmations are we looking for, and so on and so on. This is how you build a trading plan. This is how you build a strategy. And then you need to backtest that strategy and, just be consistent, sticking to that strategy, not breaking your rules, and so on and so on. If you want to be a trader, you need to be willing to do this, okay? A lot of people just think that they can just, backtest once per month and it can be profitable. This is not the case, okay? It is hard. You can do it. A lot of my students are doing it. They worked very hard to get here. They worked very hard to pass the FTMO challenge. They worked very hard to make money trading, and they invested into their education, and so on and so on. You must be willing to work hard. This is the first step. With that being said, I hope you like this video. If you have any further question, you can ask me here below in the comments. You can also ask me if you want me to make another video on other concepts. And just a reminder that, as I said already, here below in the description, you will find the link for my website, and my course is discounted for the next 6 days. And it is the last discount before I increase the price for my course. All right. With that being said, I'll see you during the week and I wish you the best.